Hey lighting people, today we're going to talk about everything you need to know about preset pools in MA3, and we are on version 2.3.0.4 today. So there are some new things related to filters and some new things related to coloring your preset pools that we are going to talk about that are really exciting. So let's get into it. I have a blank view here, and now I have the option to go ahead and store a preset pool. So I'm going to open up my add window pop-up and go to presets. And now you can see my dynamic and all pools and my feature group pools. The feature group pools are tied to specific feature groups, and you can change this, but by default, these preset pools will only let you store data for the feature group they are named with: dimmer, position, gobo, color, etc. And these preset pools also do not have customizable names. So while you can change what information you can store in them, you cannot change the names. The dynamic and all pools are a little bit different because the dynamic pool lets you display the preset pool for whatever feature you have currently selected in the encoder bar. And so it is literally changing to show me the pool for that feature group, which is pretty cool. The all pools, there are 5 of them, are existing for the purpose of your customization. By default, you can store absolutely any data you would like into these pools, but you can also change that if you want to limit it. You can name these pools whatever you want. I have one that I just called all, and the other ones I have used for specific things. And honestly, my organization is a bit messed up at the moment, and I'm not actually using all of these the way they say or the way that I should be. I definitely need to reorganize my show file, but it shows you at any rate that there are 5 customizable all preset pools. Now, every single time you open up one of these pools, it is going to show you this color by default in the top corner and across the top of every preset. And that can be a little bit boring because while you can change the pool color right here to whatever you want, if you want your preset pool to default to a certain color, like it did on MA2 for instance, every single time you open this, you have to change the color again. If you store it in a view, that will save, but if you delete it and you don't have it stored in a view and you open it up again, you have to change it again. That is until version 2.3, because now, like you can see I've done with the gobo pool here, we have the option to actually set a default color that will always open up by default, and you can also change this if you want to change it. It's not permanent or anything, but it is the default color that will open up. Now to do that, we go to the settings icon over here, we click on desk lights and color theme, edit, and scroll down on this side until we get to pool window. It won't be open by default unless you left it open the last time you opened it, but you can open the drop down here and we have all of these different options for different pool windows. Whoops, I scrolled too far. And the default for all of these is stored here, but you can change it. So like I changed the one for gobo, you can change the one for position. I like my position pool to be yellow because that's what it was in MA2. That's what I'm used to. Now I can clear out of here. I can close this and go here, and it's yellow by default. So that is really awesome for sure. It helps to have a visual aid in telling which preset pools are which. One thing I will say about this is if you're changing the default color theme in your system, which is what I did in this case, it is going to affect every show file. It's not specific to the show file, it's specific to the device. You can create your own custom color theme, you can rename it, and you can export it. And then you can also load that onto any console or any on PC that you go to use. All right, let's go back to our actual preset pool window. And I'm going to open up my color pool because I can. And in this corner right here, we have a whole bunch of preset pool settings. And these are what I'm going to be mainly focusing this video on. So the first one is name. This one is grayed out because this is the color preset pool and you don't have the option to change this name. Then you have the option to change the input filter. And this is how you can change what is actually going into this preset pool. So if you open this up, you can assign any existing non-dynamic filter to your preset pool as a input filter, you can also assign a world. And even if you uncheck hide dynamic, it will show you cannot use dynamic filters as input filters. But you can select any of these. If I select dimmer, then that is going to make it so that I can only store dimmer values in this preset pool, which is a bad idea because it is called color and I can't change that. So that's going to get really confusing in a hurry. But you also have the option to say that do color absolute only, which is only going to give you the option to store absolute color values. And that's a filter that I created. You can create a filter for whatever you want, but it's going to prevent me from storing relative color presets in this pool. So that could be a thing I want, but if I want to unassign it and not have any but the default input filter, I can go to empty and that will reset it to the default. You probably saw there was a little input filter icon right here when we had assigned one. When it is restored to the default, there is no filter icon right here. Let's go on to the next tab. Show empty right here is going to determine whether you can see empty pool spots or not. I do like to be able to see them, but you can turn that off if you want. The appearance right here lets you assign an appearance to the outline of your preset pool if you would like. So this one doesn't have a foreground image, it just has a background color. And so it just made it all green. You can also assign an appearance with an image. I put my duck image right here and now we can see that. So that's kind of fun, and you can reset it to none if you don't want an appearance. The next pool setting is the pool columns right here. And we can change this to any number we want, or we can take current width. And this will let us define the width as being this wide. And then if we scale this down, it's not going to rearrange how the rows are shown. Like when this is not defined, then it just kind of moves the presets around whenever you resize this. But with the pool columns defined, it is going to stay, and you can make it wider than that, which I don't see a purpose in that. But if you make it smaller, it's going to save the same layout. And if you're on a console where you can two-finger scroll, you can also scroll from side to side. But that doesn't work. If that's possible on PC, I don't know how. And then you also have this little icon right here, which shows you that you have a pool width set. And if you set this to not defined, then that goes away. And that is how that works. Display mode, text and symbol. This is an important thing that I've literally seen people asking about, like how does this work, or like how to change this. You can change this to text and it will only show you the name of your presets. Symbol will only show you the symbol. Auto is going to do it, I believe, based on the type of preset that it is. So for the color pool, its default is this. So that's what it will do. If you have an all pool, it will display different presets differently depending on what type of data is stored in them. Text and symbol is how I usually like to have my color pool and my gobo pool, where it's showing me a symbol and it is showing me the text as well, so that I can see a quick visual, but I can also see the name that I gave it. Font size, you can also change this. You can make it really small, you can make it bigger, you can make it super huge, or you can just leave it at the default. And I usually do that. Data pool right here lets you change what data pool is displayed, which is not something I ever use. But if you're programming in certain types of workflows, you may have a reason to have multiple data pools in your show file to move between. I don't do that, but that is an option. I don't believe that you can show a different data pool for every preset pool. So I think if you actually change this, it might change it across everything, but don't quote me on that because I don't use data pools. So definitely talk to somebody who knows about that. The pool color right here, obviously we've talked about that. You can change this to whatever you want. And these right here, empty color, determines the color of the empty slots. That is a very interesting color theme right there. I mean, it kind of matches with that, so it's not too bad, but I don't particularly like that. For all determines what color is displayed when you have a group selected, and the preset can be applied to all of them. So I just selected all of the lights stored in this preset by clicking on it. So all the ones that are green have data for all of the lights that are currently selected. The ones that are yellow are following this for some, which just shows you that some of the lights that are currently selected have values in that object, and some do not. Then we have, reset colors. That actually resets them all to default, so that's cool. Then the preset mode is global, and this is the default for color presets, I believe. I'm actually not certain. I know that I've always changed it to that and kept it at that, but I don't know what the default is. You can change it to universal or selective, and if you don't know how preset modes work, basically selective means that only the lights selected when you created the preset get data stored for them. Those lights will be selected if you self-fix the pool object, and those are the only ones that you can apply those values to. It is also stored with the selection grid information, so if you fan the values, it will respect the selection grid you had selected when you stored it. Global applies the data universally to all lights of the fixture type that you had selected when you stored the color preset. I like to store all of my color presets as global so that I can match them per fixture type, but every value that I have stored for any fixture of that fixture type is going to apply to all of those so they'll all match. Universal will apply the same values to all fixture types that contain those attribute types. So if I stored an RGB preset, those RGB values, the same values, will be used on all fixture types. This is not necessarily ideal for color presets because RGB values don't look the same across all fixtures. So I definitely recommend global for your color presets, and whatever you have selected will be displayed here. There's a U for universal, a red S for selective, and a yellow G for global. The Q part setting right here determines what Q part your preset will default store into. So if I change it to 2, then anytime I select this preset and store it in a queue without storing it specifically to a specific Q part, it is going to store to Q part 2 for whatever my defined queue is. I usually keep this at default because I don't program in parts anyway, so I always store everything to part 0. The pool action right here is pretty important because this determines what happens when you click on any pool object. So you can set it to none, and then you can click on these all day long and nothing will happen. That doesn't seem very useful to me. You can set it to the default, which is self-fix/at, which means one click selects all the lights in that group, and the second click applies that preset to the selection, which if you already have lights selected, when you click on it, it will apply at the first time. Another option is self-fix/extract. You also have at the first time, and it never does anything but at. You have flash, which will just flash that preset on for as long as you're tapping on it. Go plus will basically turn it on as an executor. Temp will hold it for as long as you have your finger on it, but it will use any fade data stored in the preset as well. Flash does not. Toggle turns it on and off just like as if it was an executor. I typically keep all of my preset pool actions at self-fix/at. But if you're using your preset pool as an executor pool, basically, then you could use something else. Use object action allows you to define a specific action for each individual object. Now, each object that does not have a specific action applied will default to the pool action. But if you want to set it unique to a specific object, you can go to Edit Setting and change the object action. You can see the default is pool default. You can change it to any of the same options that you have for the preset pool. And you can see this little icon right here, which shows you that the preset pool action is set to use object action, which, by the way, the pool action is also defined by an icon up there. So none, there's nothing. Self-fix/at is that symbol. Self-fix/extract is that one. At looks like that. Flash, go plus, temp, and toggle. These executor ones do match the same icons used on executors to indicate those. And then two-finger edit right here, you can turn on and off. If this is on, that allows you on a touch screen to use 2 fingers and tap on an object to edit it. And I definitely like having that option. It's quick and easy, so I never turn that off. Now, a lot of these settings are specific to the view, so they're stored in the view. I believe preset mode is not, and Q part is not. Pool action also, I'm pretty sure, is not. But I think all the rest of them except for input filter are. Not 100% sure. But you can play with it, and all of the settings that are customizable per view are also specific to this iteration of the pool object. So you can have it open once, and have it open a second time, and have different settings for some of these, like the color, for instance. Once again, I hope that helped you. One of the new features in MA3 version 2.3 is that ability to reset this color as the default color for the preset pool window. And if you would like to know more information about some of the new filter rules that are available to us, you can check out my video on filters in version 2.3, and that should give you all the information you know to make very interesting detailed filters if that is what you need to do. I hope you have a fantastic week and happy programming.